3, 2, 1.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Before the Valley. Another setup once again, right?
Yeah. I guess this is gonna be the final one, no?
Yeah, so this is the place where we recorded once.
Yeah.
We didn't put it online because there were some technical issues, but hopefully that's gonna be the setup where we're gonna be, gonna be the most consistent.
Yeah, and we made sure there are no technical issues this time.
Yeah,
Double
correct.
checked everything, so it should be fine.
Correct. So what's going on today, Peter?
Well, today what we're gonna do is we decided that it's better to announce the giveaway winners later at a later point, but we just wanted to announce the new giveaway and the new question for this particular episode. So you can probably...
So like the question or the thing that we wanted you to share in the comments, it's what's one quote, or I thought that it could be even a phrase from somebody that impacted you the most recently. It could be, last couple of weeks, it could be last couple of years. But for example, line which I heard from a podcast was that one father was speaking to a girl and every time she was doing something, he asked her to, deliver world-class performance. Whatever this is, like cooking, doing the dishes, world-class performance all the time. And that's like a phrase which stuck with me for some time. So that's an example of what you can write down in the comments, but it could be even a quote from somebody famous.
Yeah. Okay, so you also need to subscribe, right?
Yeah, that's the second requirement. And we're gonna have once again 2 books, which we haven't decided because, I don't know, we can give some more freedom for the people to decide. We can give some recommendations in terms of what books to, pick from. Yeah,
we can probably share a list on our profile and you can pick one of those. But yeah, it's different people, so I guess they have different preferences. But we're gonna focus on the self-development and business
side.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool.
So, do you want to start with?
Okay, I have the pleasure this time. So, I have 2 questions. One of them is more on the business side of things, which you also have a business question. But the other one is about failure. So, when do you think? What's the thing which makes you realize that it's time to give up of doing something? And do you consider this a failure? Let's say you had a plan that you wanted to achieve X, but then with the passage of time, you see that things don't work out so well, things change and you're not able to achieve what you planned to. And what's that thing which makes you, change your actions? So you just give up on your first idea. And do you consider this a failure then? What do you think about failure in general?
Okay. So I see it two-sided, very two-sided. One side is my desires and my goals and my objectives. And the other thing is new information. So first thing is my desires can change at any point in time. That will be gradual, but I feel like there's always like a realization moment or a few realization moments when you find out, okay, I don't actually want to do this. What happens then is if I have this price at the end of what I'm doing, let's say building a business. So this price is very big because I want it. This is my desire. My desire is to build this kind of a business, let's say. But when you change your perception and when you change your desires, this price gets much smaller. So the risk associated with building the business or with doing the actions necessary to reach the goal and the effort and the time and resources in general, they don't justify your goal. So that's when I would give up. It's when I change my objective
of
my desire.
Of your, the price which you described it, it's not something that's relevant to you anymore. It's not something that you really like. Yeah,
exactly. That could happen. That's one thing. That happened with academia for me. It's just I changed my perception. I wanted to, let's say, study at Oxford or Cambridge, do my master's there. Now I'm much less focused on this just because I realized I don't want to follow an academic path.
Okay.
So that's an example. And then the other way I see it is new information. So this is the second point. And by new information, I mean, okay, we get new information on what potential does the business have, let's say, if we're talking about a business, or what potential do I have to achieve a certain goal. And with new information, for example, your customers are saying, oh, I don't like this product. Oh, this is not an actual problem that I have that I need to be solved. And your assumption was, oh, this is a problem for people. but it's not. And once you find this out, I think that's the time to give up. So I would say new information or change of desires. That's when I would give up. And something else to bring up is because you also asked, do you consider that a failure?
Yeah.
And
like giving up, because I didn't frame it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Do you consider giving up as a failure?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think it depends why you give up. If the giving up is a choice, then no. But if it's because of irrational reasons and, you being lazy or you not being consistent or you not working on your flows, not trying to solve an actual problem, but being reactive rather than purposeful, I feel like that's when I would consider it a failure. And this happens on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes you do stuff reactively just because of emotion or you don't feel like it. So it's probably best to give an example with this. It's like, okay, for example, tonight I decide to not do a task because we will be drinking with friends, let's say. So if that isn't a choice, but it's peer pressure, then I would consider that a failure. But if I decide, I need social interaction just to recharge and then be more productive the next day, then it's an actual choice. So I'm giving up on the task today, but I made the choice purposefully just because I got new information and, let's say, decided something else. So it has to be a choice for me to feel like it's not failure, so not to consider it as failure.
But don't you think that it's very easy for us to mislead ourselves? Like the example you gave with going out and having fun and not doing something which you planned, and on the other hand, justifying your going out, okay, because I need to recharge. It might not be the real reason, but you can easily mislead yourself. And when you have an argument, you always, you try to, if you're on with this mindset, you always try to come up with different points which are going to prove that you're right. So that's my point, is that you can always prove to yourself.
Yes, but I feel like you always feel guilt with this. If you analyze yourself very carefully, if the reasons are not true, if they're total bullshit, which sometimes is, you feel guilt. For me at least, I feel guilty of, when you're lying to yourself, I feel like deep inside you always know, but you have to pay attention to yourself, how you feel when you put out a reason. So if you approach it rationally and see, okay, I haven't been out, let's say in 2 weeks, then I feel like that's enough of a reason for me to chill today. Yeah. So I feel like it's important to analyze the reasons and then
of the giving up,
of
the change of actions, let's say.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes it could be like, let's give an example with this. If you haven't been out in 5 days, you start thinking, is that enough or is that not enough? Like, do I need to recharge? Is it rational? But at the end of the day, making a bad decision in that case, it's not such a big deal, just because if you can't decide on it rationally, then it's probably the outcome is pretty similar, the benefit that you get. Or at least you're not able to,
you might not be
decide on it anyway. So.
Yeah, aware enough in order to come up with the, right decision.
Yeah,
because you might not be aware that, okay, going out is gonna benefit me positively, or going out is gonna, stop me from achieving the other thing which I have to, because there's just a deadline or...
Yeah, exactly. But it's often like when it matters, it's very obvious, I feel like. So for example, if you have a deadline tomorrow, but your friends are calling you, then it's very obvious what you need to do. You need to do the thing today just because you have a deadline. And that's why it's so impactful, just because you can't do it the next day. So it's much more important to do it as well. So it's very obvious, I feel like, when you...
Yeah, but here we go back to the point that it's going to be important for you if you appreciate what it's related to, because if you have a deadline for your job and you love your job because you want to progress in it, then it's going to make sense to don't accept the invitation from your friends, because you've already, have this commitment, because it's for something which matters to you. While if on the other hand, your perception changed and your job does not matter anymore.
Yeah.
Then it's like, it's a bit different situation. See what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. If you have a deadline for something that you don't care about, then...
Yeah, because this is, let's say, going back to school examples. There are so many kids out there that, at least in my class, there weren't that many, but there were kids around that you had deadlines to complete, and they weren't doing them because they
Yeah.
don't give a damn about school, because they don't see the importance in school. And that's like this, which you will probably describe as a failure of,
But if they know, oh, I need a diploma, I need a good grade to succeed in the real world, I feel, and they're still not doing it, I feel that like that would be, I would consider that a failure.
yeah, failure. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But then the first point of this equation is being aware of what actually matters to you and what's important. The next thing is, you being aware of this and deciding rationally of what's okay and what's not.
Yeah.
And if failure, like giving up is a failure, then.
Yeah, that's why Jordan Peterson, he has this projection task where you project your future just so you decide on exactly what you want. And a lot of the things like finishing school then start being more meaningful just because I need to finish school, even if it's for the most superficial reason in the world, being I need a diploma. You still know why you're doing the thing, and it's much more meaningful and much more easy. It's much easier for you to do the things that you need.
Yeah.
So I think you're very right by saying first you need to decide on what you want exactly. And I remember in past episodes we've talked about how to make that, and with the Warren Buffett 20 goals and then deciding. I feel like that, for me at least, it set a direction for my life. It was much clearer what I wanted. Then it's much easier to focus on stuff that you might not see meaning in immediately.
Yeah, I love that, because I think, giving up to the flow of things, of how things are going, and just deciding on a more rational base on a daily basis, it's going to eventually lead to you being nowhere. Mm-hmm. Wow, like this point of you stopping and thinking about what do I actually want to achieve, and what do I like, and what are my goals in life. Then things become different. Like every single action is depending on your desires and your awareness of what you want to achieve. And if that is lacking, then what are you doing?
Yeah, it's much more purposeful as well.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
And just to say something, a good check of this, if you're aware of why you're doing what you're doing, is being able to explain it to someone else. Because I remember you were asking me, why would you do your masters? Why do you want to do this? And I found it a bit difficult to explain why I want to do it exactly, just because I didn't have my goals as clear as I had them afterwards.
Yeah, so sometimes those goals could be blind,
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're set by expectations of society.
For the people of society, of like your misconception of what is okay, probably as well.
Also your misconception of yourself, because I thought I was I'm like very academic, but then last year I found out I do much better in the real world, where things are real world,
Academia is not the real world. I mean, it's more of a,
and it's so just to say, it's so obvious though, because you know me and I'm a bit chaotic, and I wouldn't do that well in academia, I think, as I would do
in the real world.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so that's a good point, I think. Mm-hmm. What's your question?
Yeah, so my first question would be, because I wanted it to be a bit business related this time, right. But it's not just business related, it's also self-development. So my first question would be, okay, I'll start with the more difficult one. So if you had to choose one superstar entrepreneur to start a business with, who would that be and why? And just a bit of context on this. I'm also asking because you can think about your flows and who superstar entrepreneur, I guess, complements you best.
Yeah.
As well as you can touch a bit on what you think is most important for starting a business, because the question is specifically about not managing a business, starting a business and then scaling it up.
Okay, that's a good question. And funny thing is that when I was coming to your place, I was listening to a podcast where Tim Ferriss asked this guy, Naval.
Yeah.
Who do you like when you hear the word successful, who comes to mind? And that's kind of it's a related question, because my answer is going to be to some extent covering people that are successful.
Yeah.
And if I have to be honest, the people that I will start a business with, can I mention two?
Yeah, sure.
All right, cool. So
no, you can't. It's
only one.
No, I'm kidding. You can do two.
All right. So one of them, because I'm gonna break the cliches, and I'm gonna say Steve Jobs. Why? Because I think that he's a very creative person.
Mm-hmm.
He's a person that can change, the a whole industry.
Yeah.
Like the mobile industry. He's the person that literally had an idea and implemented it, changed the whole world.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm a person who sometimes lacks the creative part of the business. So somebody like this would complement me in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is probably somebody who you would mention for sure is Elon Musk. And why I think that he's a good partner to do business with is because he's literally been doing this for a lot of time, and he hasn't, he cannot say that he was lucky because he had a business during the .com bubble, or that he started something which out of nowhere exploded. He had several businesses, and all of them successful.
Yeah.
I don't know if he had any unsuccessful businesses before that, but his track record is just showing that he's a person that can do business.
Yeah.
And, I see him as somebody that can lead me because I'm still very inexperienced.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the guy that I would most probably rely on when it comes to important decisions and the direction of a company. Yeah, and he's also very creative.
Yeah.
The ideas that he has of going to the moon and whatever it is, like those crazy ideas. This means that he is also to some extent the guy that can bring up new stuff.
Yeah, he's a all-round guy.
Yeah, that's what we see though. We see that he's able to manage his time, that he's coming up with new ideas, but we don't know who's also helping him in all of this, because I'm pretty sure he's not alone.
Yeah, he's very idolized. I mean, our perception, he's probably one of the most idolized person in current times, I would say.
Yeah, because he's
like an icon. Like people are seeing this image of him, and like all his productivity, it's insane. Yeah. His work time, his creativity, the goals that he has, it just makes him, it makes it very easy to forget that he's a human as well.
Yeah, I fully agree with this. And there is a lot of those people that we do not see.
Yeah.
Let's say Steve Jobs. Peter watched the movie yesterday of Steve Jobs, and the first thing he said to me, he was an asshole. Yeah, and that's a real thing that many people just ignore because they don't know about. Mm-hmm. And that's a very big like a characteristic of one person that is playing a big role.
Yeah. And
being an asshole, I don't know if I would be able to deal with Steve Jobs, which is, the kind of the downside of my choice.
Yeah. I don't know if you would be able to.
So Elon Musk could be the same, He could be a person that doesn't care that much about...
He got in a fight with his brother or something when he was starting his first company. Or I don't know if it was his brother, but it was like a partner. It was just like they had to separate them.
Like a physical fight?
Yeah, physical fight, yeah.
Shit, like I've heard stories of Elon Musk why some of my friends, they don't like him or didn't. I don't know if they do now. Because they said that he's like a robot guy who doesn't treat his family properly. And, I don't know about this.
I mean, I don't know how he, like... From what I know, because I read the autobiography, he's having a blast with his children. He like rents castles to play like paintball and stuff like that.
Imagine having him as your father.
Yes, it's mad. And what he would also do is like take them on work trips. So he would spend a lot of time with his family, which is a bit surprising because family can be very distracting. But he would spend a lot of time on it, and it's insane how he's able to do that as well.
Yeah,
he had a few like two failed marriages, so it obviously had an impact. But I think that's most billionaires. All of them have a split up at some point. Warren Buffett, Bezos.
That's what almost every single couple goes through. I mean, there are very few cases when couples are able to remain
sustain. Yeah, especially because these people are like very high on openness to new experience, so they want to explore, and sometimes that's exploring new people. Yeah,
most probably. Okay, I have a follow-up question. I don't know if you wanted to answer this one, but my question is, what do you think about partnerships, and what's the most valuable thing of doing business with somebody compared to doing it as a solopreneur?
Yeah, I think my perception of this recently changed, and I think it's empathy. I asked my manager in my corporate job what do you think is the best quality for a manager to possess. and he said empathy, and I really thought on this, and I do agree with him, because empathy allows you to adapt to the environment and to the different people. So if you have good analytical skills, you can then, for me at least, because I would say I'm quite analytical, so adding empathy to this is very useful, just because you can then, I'm going to have a meeting with this person, and then you can think on how to approach this person, and how to explain stuff best to that person so that you're both on the same page. And I feel like if the listener, if the most important thing is for the listener to understand your point of view, and then for you to see his point or her point of view, and reach a conclusion. So for that, I think it's impossible without empathy. It's impossible if you have a huge ego. I mean, it's possible, but people in the long term are gonna hate you. Like Steve Jobs, he was hated by his employees, and he lost people along the way. And he might have done a lot more if he didn't lose people along the way. You never know.
Probably, or he might not.
Yeah, he's a case of a genius, But
one of a time.
Yeah, with the average person, I feel like people are very important, and without empathy and with pushing your ego, you can't deal with people, and you can't build a good relationship. It's a bit like marriage, a lot of compromises, and also seeing the other person's perspective, and then you solve the problems by good communication
and working together on it. Okay, that's more of what do you think is important in partnerships, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you understand. My question is more of what do you think makes partnerships valuable, and especially when doing a business, like compared to doing it solo as a solopreneur. Mm-hmm. Because you've been through, like we've been having a business, but also like being in a company when you have colleagues there, you feel it compared to working something on yourself, on your own.
Yeah, I think, the first thing is with our partnership is I think a lot of my flows were adjusted while we were working together, because your partner points out your flows, and then it's much easier to find out where you're making the mistakes. Because I feel like if I started a business on my own initially, I would be on a very different track now and on a very different level, just because it would take me much more time to realize stuff than it took me, just because I got constant feedback from you. And then your question was also, so it's more of why it works to be in a partnership. Why is it better?
Why is it better doing business with somebody else than doing it by yourself?
Well, yeah, that's I might go into the theoretical, like classic economics, Adam Smith, delegation of work and stuff like that.
Based on your experience, I mean, what were the things that you enjoyed? Because I think that you've tried some stuff on your own, or no?
Not something major, I would say. Most of my projects, you were involved, like the bigger ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was probably a child when I was starting stuff on my own, which wasn't very serious. I don't have much experience on my own, but I feel like it's very useful, just because the main thing is your different point of view. I would say you're much more grounded than me, which is something that keeps me grounded as well. And the other thing is you have strengths where I have weaknesses, and the opposite. So we kind of complement each other. So I would say with my partnership with you, this was very important. And another thing is ideas. I feel like the most important thing to build a business, not to manage it necessarily, but to start a business, to build it, is flow a lot of ideas. And there's no other source of ideas as good as a founder, I feel like. So if you're an employee, you don't think that much on the business, so you don't generate that many ideas.
Yeah, like it could be, I would disagree with this, because it could be somebody at a later stage who has a stake at the company.
Well, yeah. I didn't mean a founder, but someone who's a stakeholder. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So a stakeholder, and I feel like it has to be a big stakeholder, not like a 1%, because it's not that valuable for you, and especially if you're building it from the start. So it's kind of founder as well, just because it's your baby, So you're constantly thinking on it, you're focused on it, and then that means a lot of new ideas come up. So I feel like because new ideas are so important to solve problems, especially initially, that's also very good in partnerships. I feel like people might tend to overestimate their ability to generate new ideas. I feel like having another person and actively listening to their ideas and trying to find out the best of them is very crucial as well.
And to somehow analyze them and to, measure how good they are.
Yeah.
Because when you have ideas that you might think, oh, this is a genius idea.
Yeah.
And then the other person could say, what's this? That's
if you can stop especially if they're risky ideas, I feel like that's when what you're just mentioning is very important. So, for example, I remember with our current business, we wanted to develop it further, but in one of its aspects, the analytical tools that we have. So we have like research tools for social media.
Yeah.
But then we decided to go in a different direction just because you were able to think on it and stop that idea, which was a very risky idea. We would invest a lot of resources into it. So that's just an example of what you just said. So yeah, it's different point of view, complementing each other's weaknesses, and then new ideas and risk control as well.
Yeah, I would add to this 2 more points, which are that it's when you have somebody else to work with, it's much easier to share the bad moments. I mean, to go through them, because when you have a major issue, critical issue in the company, if you have somebody else who's like there, that he's not going to leave you, you're like, okay, we can try to go through this. We can push more, even though if things are not working, if you try solutions, you can, okay, let's do another push together because there's somebody else by my side. And it's it's fun to share the good stuff, the good moments as well. When you achieve something in your own company, if you're a solopreneur, it's like, oh yeah, nice. You're going to share it with your family. But then if there's somebody else involved in this same business, there is full understanding of that good moment and what's behind it. And it's like, nice, good job.
Yeah. You're pretty much sharing the same wins. And I think that also develops you on a personal level and your relationship as well, because even for other businesses now, we like trust each other and so on. So it's based on all of this.
100%.
Yeah.
Because probably the biggest downside, which somebody could raise, is that, okay, should I share the wins when it comes to, let's say, you build a big business, and you might think, I want 100% of that business. I don't want to share even 30% with somebody else or 50%. And this is probably the biggest counter argument to all of this. But I would say that's nothing compared to the which you just mentioned, because the chance of you succeeding become much higher if your partner is good.
Yeah. It's so many benefits that's why most successful businesses are not started by one person. Very few. Well, Amazon is like, I don't know how that happened because it's just Bezos on it. But most of the other businesses I can think
Facebook
of.
as well, because I saw the move recently and he was solo initially. He had a partner. But he wasn't doing much. He was just financial. He was CFO at some point.
But that's what he was lacking as well, right? Like he was lacking the money.
Yeah, he was like, yeah. Like without this partner, there wouldn't be Facebook.
And I think he kept him a bit grounded, judging by the film, because I've seen it. He was like a counter force at some point.
to Mark.
Yeah, to Mark.
Yeah, especially initially.
Yeah.
But then he effed him up with the stocks, right?
Just like, get out.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah. I watched it recently.
Justin Timberlake, man.
But I was raising the point of that you mentioned that you should have to be a founder or at least have a big stake in the company, because Justin Timberlake, I don't know he plays the role of somebody who is involved in.
Do you know he was at Silicon Valley. The guy I forgot his name. He was Napster, the creator and founder of Napster. So when he went to Silicon Valley, people were like, oh, are you this person? They were recognizing, they knew about this person more than Justin Timberlake. So he mistook Justin Timberlake for that person just because he played the role in the film.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, so when this guy went to Silicon Valley, they thought that Justin Timberlake or what?
No, Justin Timberlake went to Silicon Valley and everyone was stopping him and they were like, oh, are you the creator of Napster? So mad, yeah.
Nice, fun story. But yeah, like this guy who Justin Timberlake plays a role of, he joined Facebook and he was probably one of the major contributors. He was the one that dropped the because it was the Facebook.
Yeah.
He renamed it, drop the and he got 6 or 7% out of Facebook, which is almost nothing.
Yeah.
But he was pushing so much that
the potential was like 6 or 7% or billions. So
because he had the idea that this is $1 billion company. Yeah. He had good forecast of what is gonna happen.
Yeah, he was more of street smart, I would say. Well, Mark was the technical guy, but that came at the later stage. But they were still kind of complementing each other.
Yeah.
Very good with people, the Napster creator.
I agree. Do you wanna announce winner of the giveaway.
Let's announce the winners. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna do the same thing. Record it, and I'm just gonna put it on the video. We had 5 participants this time, and here they are. Let me start recording. So, the participants are Evgeny Wazarov, Hetao, once again, Heshao, thank you for joining, Girgana Stoyanova, with a very good comment. I actually read it. I think that's something that we can do is use those comments for the podcast at some point, start discussing them. Lily and B Porto. So we have 5 participants, 2 books, The 4-Hour Workweek and How to Win Friends and Influence People. You can decide which one to get. But do you want to press the button?
This time it's me.
Yes.
Your fate is in my hands.
Yes. Let's go. 3. Okay. Oh, nice.
Nice.
Congrats, B Porto. We are gonna get in touch with you. Thank you very much for your comment, and we're gonna, communicate which book you want to get.
Yeah.
Congrats. But yeah, do you have any other questions?
I had one, but I think we can leave it for next time because we were very thorough on the ones we discussed. So
I have a short one.
Yeah, go ahead. Now it's gonna be like, what's the secret to success or something
like that. What's happiness?
Oh, yeah.
We discussed this on our Instagram page. It got good traction.
Yeah.
Good traction.
So maybe that's the question. I'll literally read the post.
So
that's what
my question is more like, it's very simple. What are apps or source of information you use a lot recently? I mean, we could limit it to applications that and like the one with the books. With this one I'm asking. So in this direction.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so this one is called Headway. It has summaries of books. It's very useful. I sometimes listen to it when going somewhere, and it's very well made. Summaries are quite good. I use it for books that I wouldn't read because I don't know if they're good or not, or are not that famous, or they're on a topic that I'm not currently extremely interested in, but they can improve me in some way.
What was the name?
It's Headway.
Headway.
That's the name of the app, yeah.
Do you have access to every single book out there, or
I'm not sure.
It's like a library.
Yes, and I think it's just business and productivity books. I'm not completely sure, but I think it's like, it's non-fiction. It's just non-fiction, which obviously.
Yeah. And it's like the summary of chapters.
Yeah, it has like, you can listen to them, but you can also, you choose how many minutes you want to spend per day and how many books you want to read per week. Then it sends you notifications based on that. And it also sends you different lengths of summaries based on that. And you can listen to it, but you can also read it. So you can read the summary of the whole book if that's what you prefer.
Okay.
The other one is Strong. I use it for like gym and stuff. It keeps a good track of how much I exercise.
Is it like the progress, that like how many sets? Yeah,
exactly. It's just called Strong. It's very basic. It has a pro version, which is more, how would you say that? Detailed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then Zero. I use Zero a lot for fasting. Yes. And then I would use Sheets, but that's not something I would.
Yeah, for tracking your stuff, right?
Yeah, for tracking everything I do, because I tend to use Sheets rather than find apps for each of the things. For some of the things I'm doing, I prefer Sheets. And then there was one, the Oak one you recommended, but I'm not using it that much.
Yeah, so like it's an app for meditations, and I've tried so many. I've tried Headspace. I've tried
Headspace as well. Yeah.
It's basic, but it's okay. It's good for starting.
I don't find it necessary. That's why I don't use it.
So you do like your meditations are not guided.
They used to be guided. Now I find it better for them not to be guided.
Yeah.
Because I'm not doing it for anxiety, but for head clearing. But for anxiety, it's good to have someone to guide you. Okay, now think on the situation and so on.
There are so many ways to meditate. So many. Yeah. And every single time when somebody asks in a podcast that I'm listening, do you meditate and what's your practice? And he says something completely different, because I know, I'm thinking, okay, now I know most of the meditations, and then it's something completely new. Even today, this guy Naval, he said that he just goes somewhere. He's not like standing still. He's just walking around. preferably in a place where you have nature, but your goal is to just be, walking without judging anything, without judging the building, without judging, oh, there's a homeless person, or thinking about the surrounding in this way, even not judging your thoughts.
Yeah, just very, how would you say, observant.
Yeah, just walking around, and that's it. Like, that's how reality is.
Yeah, I feel like that's it sounds very stoic, because they used to walk in the mornings, like Marcus Aurelius, for example.
Yeah.
So it sounds very stoic, yeah. It also helps with your metabolism, and 40 minutes of walking, I think it boosts your metabolism.
Most probably.
So it's good for that as well, yeah. Okay, I think we should have a whole episode for just meditation and our ways of meditating.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say for tech stuff, of apps, programs for you.
Well, this would be you can just mention briefly, like, your main ones.
I don't have, like, if it's anything new, I don't have anything. Like, I'm using Zero for fasting, and I'm not, like, benefiting from any apps currently, which are, about learning or just being useful. But it's something that I would love to explore, and this is why I ask you.
Yeah. Well, Headway is the main one I think you like.
Yeah, there's some other for summary, so...
Yeah, you can look into them as well, yeah.
Cool, okay. So, yeah, that's the episode for today.
Thank you for watching, and...
Yeah. You know what? I noticed that I didn't laugh this much this time.
This is a sad episode.
No, like all the people, my friends that are listening, they're like, "Oh, bro, you're always just laughing, yo." And
imagine having your friends judging you for laughing,
no,
like, judging you for being happy. Oh, you laugh so much. Yeah, bro, I'm emotional. That's good. That's good. I'm happy.
I see Yoshi, and he makes fun of me. He's like, ha 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 ha. I'm like, what's going on? Ha ha ha. Because he listens to every podcast, so that's a good thing. Thank you very much.
Then it works, because if he watches every episode, then
what?
Then he loves.
Oh yeah, he loves to be listening to my laugh. Cool. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Hope this was not a sad episode, and if you remained until this point of time of the episode, you would probably know that it was not a sad episode.
Yeah, it was a fun one.
Yeah, it was. Okay, yeah, thank you very much, and we're gonna see you next time.
Yeah, see ya.
Bye bye.